Weight gain during the pandemic is an issue that most of us have faced to varying degrees. For some people, it's been a very serious struggle, and for some, not so much. It's just a few pounds here and there. In this video, I will talk about my 40-pound weight gain, my current situation, what I plan on doing about it. And at the end of the video, I will share some tips and tricks that might help you if you're in the same or similar situation. And so make sure to watch all the way to the end so that you don't miss anything. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out any future videos. If you're new to this channel, I'm Irvi and I've previously lost 130 pounds. It was all natural. I documented my journey both on Instagram and on my YouTube channel. If you're tuning back in, if you've been with me along the way, hey, and if you're new, welcome aboard. At the time of filming this video, the pandemic has been going on for about 1.5 years now, and it's been rough for a lot of people. There are many reasons why someone could have gained weight. It could have been as simple as we were on lockdown, the gyms were closed, you couldn't go anywhere, literally. Everything was shut down. The princess was locked in the castle. For some, it could have been anxiety and stress. The pandemic alone is enough to stress you to the nines. But then add on top of that, maybe losing a job, maybe a lifestyle change, maybe you have kids and now you have to homeschool them and, the schedule upsets. All of those things are very stressful and anxiety inducing, and that alone is enough to wreak havoc on the body and, cause certain hormones to act up that will, just help pack on the pounds. Maybe a relationship took some unexpected turns because of the nature of the pandemic and how it caused us to interact with people. So there's many different things that could have caused additional stress to everyday life. And stress is one of the biggest reasons why people tend to gain weight. For me, it was really a combination of things. It was the gym shutting down, and that was like a priority for me. I used to go to the gym for 2 hours a day. So when it shut down, that was a huge impact for me on like all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, you name it. And over time, as like my body changed and as my fitness level changed and I gained weight, it started to affect me. I started to get like down about it and like stressed about it. And that just kind of compounded the situation and made things worse. And my attitude during the whole thing just didn't help either. So I live in Canada and the measures up here were taken very, very seriously, very, very early on. And in like mid-March, I think it was like March 15th to be exact, my gym shut down completely. But I actually stopped going to the gym a month before that. So I stopped going to the gym like mid-February. I just felt like there was more and more cases happening. And, I've seen enough movies and I watched enough documentaries to know where that was headed. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to take a chance. I'm just going to take a step back and see what happens. Plus also if I like heard someone cough or something at the gym, I'd just be like, I was like, I don't know. Some people have really bad gym etiquette in terms of like coughing or sneezing. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to hold up, back off for a bit, see, assess the situation from a distance, if you will. So that's what I did. And I'll just leave it at that. At around the time that I stopped going to the gym, I was probably in like the best shape of my life. And I don't mean the skinniest. I mean just the best shape. I weighed around 205, which is a little bit heavier than my skinniest, but I just felt like I was in the most incredible shape of my life. I was the happiest. I was the most fit. I was the strongest. My cardio was top notch. I just felt overall incredible. And that is a way better feeling than any number on any scale. I don't care what anybody else says. When I initially stopped going to the gym, I said to myself, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this as an opportunity to recover because I hadn't taken any time off for a really long time. So I said, you know what? This lockdown probably won't be that long. I can just take a couple of weeks, get in some downtime, let my body like fully recover. and then, I'll get back into it after the fact. So I didn't really start working out immediately. During that time, I was eating my meal preps. So my diet had not changed at all. Occasionally I would have like a cheat meal, but I don't even like to refer to it as a cheat meal. It's more of like an indulgence, because I don't feel like I'm cheating or doing anything wrong. I'm just eating something that it's not like in my everyday diet. Over time, I noticed that my weight went up slightly. And I mean like very, very slightly. I'm talking 2 to 3 pounds. It crept up a little bit, but it was nothing serious. Like I didn't even feel it. I just saw it on the scale. So I was like, that's not a big deal. And then around April, it became obvious that things were not going to be opening back up like anytime soon. So I said, you know what, maybe it's time for me to start working out. So I got my weights out and I decided to do some stuff at home, but I couldn't really go out and do things outside yet because in April it's still really kind of cold in Canada. And I mean, we even had snow. So I was not about to go outside, and I just did things at home. It was all right for the first couple of weeks. But I don't really like to work out at home, not at all. And over time, I started to do less and less and less. And then eventually I just kind of stopped. For me, I like to be in the gym. You see the machines, the weights, all the people who are at different fitness levels. You see super fit people, you see people who are just starting out. And I get inspired equally across the board by everybody for different reasons. So I really like to be in that environment, that high intensity, high energy, vibe. I love that. So for me, working out at home is really blah. And it's not it's not a motivational thing. It's not a willpower problem. It's an environment problem. Some people are the gym types. Some people are the at-home types. For me, I am 150% gym type. I need the gym. Over time, I noticed that I started to gain more and more weight. First it was 8 pounds, then it was 10, then 12, and so on and so forth. And the more weight that I gained, the more lax I became with my diet. I mean, the more lax I became with my diet, the more weight I gained, I should say. When I reached the 20 plus mark, that's when I started to get affected by it. I started to really feel fat. And I also got very demoralized and down about it. And then I just stopped caring. It was the not caring was just a byproduct of coming to a point where I felt oh man, this is a point of no return. Was it self-inflicted? Yes. Were there extenuating circumstances? Absolutely. And it would be foolish to not look at the problem as a whole. For every cause, there's an effect. And until you start looking at situations as a whole, you will not be able to start taking your power back and start to implement real change. So it's really important to recognize that it wasn't just a one-off. It didn't just happen by random chance. It's there was an event. It was destabilizing, for the whole world. And of course, that's going to have an effect one way or another, whether directly or indirectly. Eventually, there came a point where I got determined to make some changes. And, I found some willpower. I started to work out again. I had a few really great workouts. But then, of course, I had to go and get injured. I was working on my car. Well, I was fixing... No, I shouldn't say that. I was trying to fix or change the light bulb on one of my lights, but it was kind of jammed and I was just really, really sore and all over from just having started to work out a week and a half before that. So my whole body was sore. And I guess the position I was in, or I don't know, all my muscles were just fatigued and I was being stubborn and I ended up, I think, pinching or pulling something in my back in that moment. And initially it didn't feel much. But then the next morning when I woke up, I could not move. For 2 weeks, I was out of commission. I could barely take a deep breath because, I don't know, I pinched something. I don't know. It was just a rough go. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And after you get into the swing of things and something like that happens, it's just the biggest blow to the gut that, I don't know, for me, it gets tough and extremely demoralizing, which is what happened. And then it just pushed me further into this, I don't care place anymore. And then not only did I stop working out, because I had to, but then eventually I never got back into it. But I also started to eat like anything and everything, like including a lot of comfort foods that had not even been a part of my diet for like a really long time. I'm talking like Nutella, a lot of popcorn, like junk food, pizza, just, things that I would have as like indulgences, but it was like all the time. Like I just did not care. The other thing that I added to my diet was a lot of bread. Like I ate a lot of sandwiches with like, I don't know if you've ever been to Costco. They have those like triangle buns. So I would do that with some mayo and some like Genoa salami or prosciutto. That to me is like super simple, basic, but it's like one of my favorite things. Like I'm European and we love our like salamis, okay? And that's what I just indulged way too much into. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you eat it like 2-3 times a day, plus the other junk, it all adds up, So, yeah, I was really just seeking comfort and solace in food. That's really what it was about, I mean, the situation at large, then my own personal sort of like failure to, get on a program and stick with my own program, literally, and just being completely bitter about getting injured and then just eating a ton and then becoming depressed because I gained the weight. I mean, shocking, right? This went on for months and eventually I just came to a point where I kind of like reached a weight where I said to myself, oh my God, like if I keep going, I'm going to end up at like my worst weight ever. So I need to like stop while I'm at least, at the halfway point. Like I need to stop. I put a stop to gaining weight. So I kind of like watched what I ate, but I didn't start to work out again. And for the last little while, I've been consistently the same weight, which is around like the 245 mark. I think I touched like 250 at one point, and that's what like, when I saw that number, I was like, whoa, no. Like we need to backtrack here a little bit. From about a year ago up until this point, I'd gained a total of about 35 pounds. And about like 5 from before that. So for a total of about 40 pounds I've gained during the pandemic. To be honest, I feel every single pound that I've gained, I feel like I'm constantly wearing a fat suit. And I don't know, for a long time, I felt like I'd lost a sense of who I really was. And I was just existing in like dread and monotony. That's like the best way to describe how I felt about everything for the longest time. But a few weeks ago, something happened. It felt like I woke up from a hibernation, like something just clicked. And I just felt like I woke up. Actually, I think I know what happened. I think I just remembered who the F I am. So with that, I made a plan. I set some goals. I started to meal prep again. I started to eat very clean. And I started to work out a little bit at home. Nothing too crazy. I don't want to put any pressure on myself. And I'm not doing too much, like just here and there to be, getting some activity in. But also I'm trying to be more consistent than I am trying to make it like intense or this or that. I'm trying to just make sure I do something rather than nothing, because I still really hate working out at home. So if I really don't feel like it, I don't push myself. Like I'll go for a walk instead. At my highest, I was 250.6, and just 2 days ago, I weighed myself. I was 239.6. So on the dot, I'd lost 11 pounds. But don't forget, in the beginning, when you first start, a weight loss journey, if you will, or when you first start losing weight, a lot of that is water retention, especially if you're used to eating like bread and a lot of ice cream and, junk. Then when you stop that, a lot of the water that your body's holding on to like goes first. As for weighing myself, I'm really just using it as like a measurement of my progress, nothing more, nothing less. I do have a goal weight, and that is 205, which is what I was before the pandemic started, before things, changed. That's kind of the number goal. But what I really like is to be back in shape and just feel the way I did at that time. If you're going through something similar, if you're thinking about wanting to get back on track and don't know where to start, the first thing that I would say is to practice self-love and self-care. Above all else, forget the diets, forget the workouts and this and that. I think the most important thing is to reframe the mind for self-love and self-care. It was so easy to get lost in this whole, pandemic and the lockdowns and this and that I think a lot of people just forgot themselves. And they got distracted by all the chaos. I really think that the priority should be is asking yourself, like, how can I love myself today? What can I do that is a form of self-care today? For example, if you're in a store and you're in the chip aisle and you're in front of the chips that you want to get, you know that there's an A and B to that story. And that is, if you get the chips, you'll have the chips, then you'll feel bad, you'll probably gain some weight, and that will make you feel even worse, and then it'll just be like a spiral downwards. Or option B, maybe you can get some fruit or something to make a smoothie where you're going to be providing yourself with like vitamins, minerals, energy. It's still sweet, it's still kind of a treat, but you're nourishing yourself. By choosing option B, you're participating in self-care. You'll feel nourished, energized. You'll have a sense of pride in the choices that you've made, and that will do wonders for your sense of well-being, your mental health, and your physical health. You're making a choice, and you're literally taking your power back from like a biological impulse to seek comfort in food. You are literally overriding that brain chemistry with conscious decision making, and that's probably the most powerful thing that there actually is. That's really what it means to take back your power. I would really just start there, practicing self-love and self-care, and every day and over time, you're going to find that you're going to start to make choices and decisions naturally. Like at first, you're going to have to pause and ask yourself these questions, but then over time, you'll notice that you're just going to prefer a healthier option. You're going to prefer and be gravitating towards things that actually improve your well-being and state. And it's like the better you feel, the more choices you're going to make that make you feel better. It's like going to just compound over time. I'd also maybe look at what in your daily routine is causing you the most problems. Is it maybe too much TV? Is it maybe too much wine? Are you having too many snacks? So I would pick one of those. Let's say you're doing all of them, but like pick one. And let's say you sit down and you watch 4 episodes of a show in a row. Well, instead of doing that, maybe just do 2 episodes and then go do something else, like go for a walk or something. And then let's say you have 2 glasses of wine a night, maybe try having just 1. You don't have to quit everything, cold turkey all at once. But you can make small little changes that over time will add up, and that will force you to kind of replace those things with something that has a more positive effect. Like let's say go for a walk or read a book. It could just be small little things that you can just switch up to kind of get out of that routine that you're in. At first, I just want you to get into a new mind frame. Nothing extreming in the beginning. We don't need any more added stress. We don't need any more anxiety or pressure. The pandemic is still going on, so you still have to be mindful that their existing pressures are still there. Even if you're used to it, it's still having an effect on the mind and the body. So we need to be mindful of that and then slowly improve the situation that we're in by actively making good choices. And the next stage is when you feel good enough to make a decision to start making a plan and setting some real concrete goals, then approach that. If you're at that point now, then great. Then sit down and break down your goals into like monthly and weekly and, go for it. If that's where you're at, all the power to you. The thing that I would like you to understand most of all is that if you are in the situation where you've gained weight, doesn't matter if it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 50 pounds, it doesn't matter. You are not alone. Something like 40 to 50% of the whole population has gained weight for various reasons. So you're not alone. You're not the only one. And you're not the only one who feels not so great about it. Weight gain is a perfectly normal stress response to being cooped up, locked down, and being stressed out. There's nothing wrong with it. And you know what else? If you're in a position where you're not ready to start a weight loss journey and not even taking the small steps, that's okay too. Forcing yourself to do something sometimes can actually be more detrimental than positive. And in this time, I feel like looking back on where I was, there was a time where I think that if I forced myself to do something and if I failed at it for whatever reason, I think it would have made me feel worse and probably would have taken me longer to, start losing the weight again. So truly, if you're not ready yet, recognize that. Recognizing that you're not ready is a form of self-care. Being self-aware of your needs in this moment is way more important for your mental health than how any piece of clothing feels, how any number on the scale, what it looks like or what it is. Doesn't matter. There is nothing wrong with being in survival mode. That's usually the stage before you get into the thrive mode, right? So there's nothing wrong with not being ready either. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a stellar day, and I'll see you back here in the next video. Give the video a like if you found something useful, if there was something you could relate to, or if you just want to support the channel. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you back here in my next video. Bye.